started? Great.
Okay, so welcome everyone to, it's called What's Your Worth? It is an entrepreneurship panel, and you all are entrepreneurs, or you would like to be an entrepreneur. So, my name is Brianna Perryman. I am the COO of the Regenerate Society Incorporated. It is a nonprofit here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I am going to have all of you, like the first day of school, introduce each other. Well, introduce yourselves. Your name, your title, what you do, and what made you want to be an entrepreneur. Right, I know y'all have never heard that question before ever, but what made you want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner? We'll start this way.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you.
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Jesus Mendez, but the community and friends and family know me as Chuy. Kind of picked up that name out of my first Mexican restaurant that I worked at. There was like 5 other Mexicans called Jesus, so I just kind of got stuck with it. I am in the food and beverage industry, meaning I deal with alcohol, I deal with hospitality, I deal with restaurants. I did not know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur in this business until something just clicked and I got tired of working for somebody else. So once I figured out that that was my niche, that I had a good skill set that I could put to use with people and an open mindset to learn alcohol and learn food, I started working for the right people. And now I'm a managing partner with Bayer Properties for the Lewis Bar inside the Pizitz Food Hall. Me and my team also own Uno's Tacos and other concepts as well. And I'm also a partner with Jeremy Williams for J Wings at the food hall as well.
It's on you.
Right. Hey, I'm Kim Lee, and I don't know how Chuy does what he does. He's everywhere. So learn from Chuy. But I run Forge, which is a co-working space upstairs. So when y'all go back out in the food hall and you look up, Forge is behind the glass. So we are a shared workspace. We are a membership-based business. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs or people who have just started their business. They don't want to work at home anymore, and so they come to Forge, and they have a professional place to work. They're surrounded by other entrepreneurs who are working really hard, doing fun, cool new things. And they can just work in our open space, or we have desks, like if you need your own desk, or we also have private offices. And I am the founder of Forge. We opened in 2017, and I don't know that I dreamed of one day owning my own business. If I look back, I always love to start things, and I like to be in charge. Yeah, I've always I have lots of visions for different things. But really, it was when I learned about the industry of co-working, what it was, what it did. My background, I have an undergrad in business, and then I also have a master's in counseling, which are 2 very different things. But after my degree in counseling, I was working in business development and operations for a window washing and commercial cleaning company. And really, we were very hospitality focused, which is kind of funny for a commercial cleaning company, but very hospitality service oriented, and it really made me fall in love with the idea of business as a service, serving your clients, your customers well, bringing a hospitality aspect into any part of business, whether it's window washing, restaurant, hotel, which you normally think of hospitality, or co-working. And so when I learned about co-working and saw it in different cities and what it did, it really was like, okay, I do think I could do this every day, and I think I could do a good job, which is a lot to admit to yourself, but without feeling, high and mighty. But so it was kind of all the things that I loved: hospitality, community, customer service, ecosystem, growing jobs, all fit together in co-working. So.
Next.
I can't hear myself.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Alexander. I'm a co-founder of a company called All Care Health Services. most people know me for my background in pediatrics. I also worked with Pediatrics PM. So I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I never saw myself as a businesswoman. I'm from a small town in Alexander City. It's called Alexander City. And I guess around town, when you're in a small town like that, your businesses are very much a part of your life. So our pediatricians, our dentists, everyone was a part of our life. I became a child of a single father when I was 10 years old. My mother passed from liver cancer, which is where I found my love for healthcare, because everyone in our town just kind of wrapped their arms around us and loved us. And I was like, oh, I think this is what I want to do one day. I thought I wanted to be a nurse. And then, I went to college at UAB, learned more about healthcare. I thought I wanted to go to nuclear medicine, but I'm not that good at science. I served in the Army Reserves in a medical specialty corps there, paid for college. So I would say if anybody's wondering how you pay for college, go to the military. It's a great option. It teaches you leadership. Leadership is something that's very essential in business. There's never a substitute for leadership when it comes to business. And then you fast forward 10 years later, I've kind of been in a small business space and problem solving and just kind of find myself here. I would say that business is all about relationships and how those networks work together. I do quite a few things. Most of my background is in healthcare, but most of it is in business development, and it's all about your relationships and kind of how those different businesses work together.
Next.
Check. Hello, my name is Nehemiah Horace. I own my own technology business called HD2 Technology, and I own my own nonprofit called the Dream Big Center, which encompasses a leadership academy, a tech academy, and a sports academy. I kind of wanted to start my own business. I started off with technology maybe 5-6 years ago. I always know I wanted to go into technology. I always felt that there was 3 main fields that will always be around, no matter if it's 2020 here now or 2040, 2050, which is health, technology, and education. I felt like those were the 3 main fields, and I stuck with technology growing up. I was always around doing construction with my parents and everything, anything around the house, wiring. But I ended up going into computer science, where I love software development. What made me want to start my own business was I worked for a lot of startup companies, and I saw the ins and outs of it. I saw startup companies fail while I worked with the startup company where I'm getting a paycheck, and then next thing you know, I'm looking for a new job because the startup company has failed, they didn't last a year, and I ended up switching to another company. And then I actually got into corporate America, and I was thinking, well, the same thing I did with this startup company, I'm doing in corporate America, but now I'm more micromanaged. I find myself where I can work on my own time, on my own terms. The things that I do, I can do it from home. I don't have to be in the office with somebody over my head, kind of nitpicking at things that you should do it this, that way, or the third. And yeah, I started my own business. I went into technology where I work with mobile apps, graphic design, flyers, logos, websites, you name it. And I even teach coding classes. I taught coding classes at Miles College, where I did a cohort program teaching high school students how to code. I actually had the valedictorian for, Parker. I had the valedictorian for Parker to come under me as an intern and just teach them the basics behind coding and how it can help them develop when they're going to college. They wanted to go into, cybersecurity. So I wanted to teach them the basics behind it and how the things that you're looking at from your phone, from your TV, the colors, what things make up everything around you, from this microphone, all of it. So that's kind of why I wanted to start it. I wanted to start it because that's what I love to do, and I don't want anybody over me. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
There we go. So I wanted to ask that question first to get out all of the warm and fuzzies, just because we know that entrepreneurship is not full of warm and fuzzies. It's hard days, long work days. So I wanted to turn to the most reliable source that I knew, always accurate, Twitter. So I want to ask a couple of questions for y'all. You have 3 seconds to answer these questions. It's true or false. So get ready. We're gonna start with you, Chuy. So true or false, 3 seconds, let's go. Sleep is for the weak, yes or no? False. Sleep is for the weak, yes or no?
False.
Yes or no?
Definitely false.
Yes, false.
I'm just telling you what LLC Twitter is telling people, okay? Anyone can and should be an entrepreneur. True or false?
True.
What do you think?
False. False.
False.
Chuy, you're alone on this one. Next one. If you're passionate about your business, it doesn't feel like work when you do it.
False.
I say it can be true a lot.
I'm in between.
That's not a choice. And lastly, every day you wake up, you love being an entrepreneur.
True.
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 Okay, so I wanted to ask those questions just to see how much you all hesitated, because I thought it was important. And especially for people to see that some of these questions are like, do I love doing what I do every single day? It's hard. So with COVID, I think that it has kind of pushed people out of their comfort zone. It's made people have to kind of bend and shape towards different things, right? Some people, it's pushed them into just being resistant to change. Other people, it's made them start their own businesses. So some of these questions that I'll be asking will kind of just shed light on the real life, the everyday of being an entrepreneur. So it's not like, what are you passionate about and all that type of stuff. It's more the nitty gritty. So the first actual question that I just kind of want you to give some feedback on is, if you went to school, was it necessary? If you did not go to school, how did you learn how to do business? We don't have to start with you every time, but if you want to, we can.
You hear me?
Yeah.
I didn't go to school. The high school was it. Straight out of that, I just want to go get a job. I don't believe you need a high school education or even a university education. I don't know what those fields are because I never did it. So when people talk about degrees and masters, I'm in the loss because it's not my field and I personally don't care. I believe everybody's will to become an entrepreneur starts with like your creativity. You have to, one, see the vision, who you want to become in the future. And second, how do you get there? And by doing that, what helped me the most was actually being with the right people and the right team and the right leadership to get there. I was very humbled in my career, when I went to a restaurant where I thought I was in control, and when I found out that I didn't know jack shit, I was like, well, wow, I got to get my own act together and get back down to the books and listen. And just because my work ethic doing multiple shifts or doing 70 hours a week wasn't enough, I had to settle down a little bit and pick up books and listen to people. Like we were talking about Marco over at La Fresca, he was one of my trainers at Highlands Bar and Grill. The guy had a horrible attitude about things, but I picked up on all the good things. So when he spoke about wine, when he spoke about food, I just shut up and listened, because I had to admit to myself, and opening the right doors. Will.
So what was I do have a degree, so what was the question if you do?
So the question is, was school necessary and worth it for you?
I remember it was probably about 6 months into opening Forge. I was talking to my dad and I was like, starting a business was way more educational than my college degree. So I don't think it's necessary when you have to run a business. I do think there are things you learn there. So I think it is good, but I think being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, like what Chuy said, I mean, the most important thing, whether you go to school or you don't go to school, learning from people, like surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you, being humble, not being proud. Like, there are people who are so much smarter than you. There are people who are so much smarter than me. And so trying to surround yourself from them, put yourself in a position, if it is getting their coffee every day, whatever you can do to learn. And then to always be working on your skills, like always learning new things. If you're going to start a business, like start learning about advertising, start learning about Google, start learning about how to do ads, how to do graphic design. Not that you're always going to be the one that's doing it, but especially if you're working for other people right now, getting those skills to be able to launch yourself is just invaluable. Whether you end up owning your own business or working for somebody else, like those are skills that are going to put you in a position to succeed. So, yeah. So surround yourself by really smart people, learn as much as you can from them, be humble, and always be trying to learn new skills.
I would say I think it depends on what industry you're
Well,
going
that's
into.
true, too. Yeah.
I would say that my background's in healthcare. I would say that college was very instrumental for me. But I wouldn't describe work and school in different ways. So I would say that it depends on what industry you're going into, but you should always educate yourself. So I don't know about college so much as say that education is key. And the way that you educate yourself can be different. So it doesn't matter if you're going in a college classroom to educate yourself. It doesn't matter if you're going to the military to educate yourself. It doesn't matter if you pick up a practice routine to say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing every day, and I'm going to get a mentor. All of those ways that you educate yourself are different. So I would say that education is important, not necessarily a college degree is important.
I agree wholeheartedly. I would say college is important for me in my mindset for the network. Going to college, depending on the college, you learn more from the network and the people you surround yourself. You learn a lot about yourself, a lot about different ethnicities, different companies. You learn more outside of the classroom than you do in the classroom. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur versus being in a classroom going for a degree, sometimes being a student, you dread waking up to go to class. More than likely you dread, if it's an 8 a.m. class or whatever, you would rather do sleep, honestly, than go to class sometimes. But being an entrepreneur, when you love what you do, I kid you not, sometimes you do not sleep. You have to make yourself go to sleep because you will stay up all night thinking about it, going over things, and literally waking up and you're like, oh, did I go to sleep or did I take a nap? Like, it's literally you spend that much time. When you love what you do, you'll spend countless amount of hours on it. And yeah, I think education is important when going to college, but I feel like the network and surrounding yourself around those type of people is just as important.
Okay. So I got my undergrad degree at UAB in business, marketing business. And then I'm currently getting my MBA in entrepreneurship. So I have two very different answers for the question. Undergrad was, to me, completely useless. Did not learn as much as I needed to if I wanted to start a business from my undergrad degree. My MBA is more so of a cookie cutter answer to certain questions. I think you learn more with experience about the do's and don'ts when it comes to starting a business. So I want to ask you all, are there any hardcore major do's or don'ts within your industry for business? And it does not have to start with Chuy, even though I know that he just loves answering first.
I guess I'm in the middle. I guess I'll go first. I would say do chase your passion. I think that there are people that will say, if you're passionate about something, you can start a business. I think that that is a do. I also would say that I'll piggyback on what Brianna said. I would not say that undergrad was a complete waste of time, but I think that you need to optimize every opportunity. And I say that with, if there's a course that you think is important, do chase it. And if it's something that will fine tune your craft, chase it. So if there's something like financial theory, I think that financial theory is just as important as passion if you're going to have a successful business. So I would say, do chase your passion. Don't take everyone's experience as your own, because you could put two businesses side by side that both have the same business plan, and one is successful and one is not.
So I would say I don't know if you're talking about like once you start your business or schooling, education.
Whatever you choose.
Okay, so be a nice person and that sounds so silly, but operate your life or your business in like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a trustworthy be a good person with your business. Truly long to help others, and your business people will respect you, and your business will grow, and you will be more happy in what you're doing. So always be a good person and treat others how you want to be treated. And I would say, so I work with a lot of high schoolers and college kids who are going through like an incubator program for learning, you go through, start a business. And I always tell, especially the kids in high school, because it's so outside of what they're doing. Like, that's just not the normal classes that y'all take, and none of your friends are doing that kind of hard work. But also in college, take advantage of those kind of opportunities, because when you leave high school, when you leave college, people, when I'm looking to hire somebody, I'm looking for those things that are really going to set them apart. And I know if you've been through a program like that, or you've really, you can show what your passion was and how you've pursued it, I'm immediately drawn to people who have worked hard and done things that are outside of the box. So look for those ways where you can really stretch yourself and grow.
I agree with the nice person act, and that's why I spoke on networking in my last and Bree's last question, because your network basically can run your business. If you can't get along and hold a conversation with somebody or treat people the way you would want to be treated, most people won't want to do business with you, and that goes in every form and fashion. My do's and don't would be know your worth. Hence, the name of this forum is What's Your Worth? But know your worth. Don't lowball yourself, because you know the hard work and work ethic that you put behind your craft and the things that you want to do. Know your worth, because at the end of the day, somebody is not going to want to pay your price, pay for your services that you offer at that price. Know it, because people will say hey, can you do it for this much, that much, or the third? They might want to come at you and say well, I can get it from this person for a lot cheaper. That's my do's, know your worth. And that's my don't lowball yourself.
Okay. Well, I have a question. Are any of you all introverts? No?
Not at all.
No, I'm aware. So do you think that your extrovert personality has benefited you when it comes to starting a business and networking? And would you, even though you are an extrovert, have any advice for people who are introverts who still want to start a business and still want to network, but, it's hard?
I don't think you have to be an extrovert to start a business, but I do think you have to know I was going to say this was a do. You do have to know yourself. You have to know, especially if you are going to start your own business. I think it's really important if you're working for other people, but if you are going to start your own business, you have to know yourself, and you have to know the qualities that it's going to take to make your business successful. And most businesses, it's gonna be your network. It's gonna be and if you are starting a business and you know that the thought of that is just more than you can bear, then you've got to hire somebody who can do it for you, who's gonna be out there networking and growing your brand. But I do not think that you have to be an extrovert to start a business. If you're an introvert, you just really are gonna have to look at, okay, this is what needs to be done. If I'm going to do this, what am I going to have to do to take care of myself so that I don't totally burn out and hate what I'm doing?
I'll piggyback on what she said and even like add in like a question. So I would say I don't think that you have to be an extrovert, but you do have to know yourself and you have to know what fuels you. So people can say like, oh, you're social all the time. Brianna said, hey, we're going to get some nitty gritty. Like, you don't have to be an extrovert, but you have to know what makes you tick and what makes you able to communicate with the outside world. So I would say that I, myself, am not an extrovert whatsoever. I don't like large crowds. I actually don't like large groups of people. But at the same time, what fuels your business is going to be your brand. So I would say know what it takes to build your brand. And if that takes whatever vice it is, in order for you to be extroverted, like I will be able to have more of a conversation with someone. I'll be able to deal with a large crowd if I'm drinking. But at the same time, hey, we said we're getting, but at the same time, like be able to check yourself and say, hey, like I don't need this to function, but at the same time, like know what it takes for you to be able to build your brand.
So basically kind of being able to push yourself outside of those boundaries that you've set for yourself.
Be able to put yourself outside of boundaries or get an accountability partner. Be able to say, hey, like, if I'm not an extroverted person, build a team. Hey, I may not feel comfortable going to this event. I may not be able to feel comfortable taking this meeting by myself. But if I have a team, if I have an accountability partner to say, hey, I feel comfortable because I have my team of 3 around me. I know that I may not be able to carry out this task, but I've got a team that can do it, or even just someone that can check you, someone that can be your accountability partner and be like, hey, what you're doing is working, but it's not good for your personal health. So know what it takes for you to be able to balance yourself and say, hey, I can lead this team, I can lead this charge, I can be passionate about this thing, but at the same time, if I'm neglecting myself, be able to know what it takes to take care of yourself in order to be the best person that you can be.
Yeah. Preach it, sister.
I would want to piggyback off of something that Chuy said earlier about working under people and listening. I'm an extrovert, but being an introvert is not something that you should like look down on, because sometimes you need to sit up on it. I'm pretty sure everybody didn't learn everything they're doing now as far as being an entrepreneur by not sitting under somebody or learning from somebody. Even with myself, I had to sit up under a corporate American job and sit up under them and learn what I know now, the ins and outs, working with offshore companies, the whole nine, or even learning how to start a company by working with several startup companies. Don't feel like it's where you starting your own company, you just have to jump out there and you go for it. Yes, you want to jump out there, but do your research and learn before it. So go find somebody that's doing something similar to what you're doing and learn about what they're doing, and that'll kind of help you get outside the box, or help you become more of an extrovert if that's necessary. Because when it's something that you love to do, I'm pretty sure you'll talk all day about it, and you find somebody that you can talk to about it and that you can trust. Not giving them everything that you want to do, but it'll help you learn and help you get out and explore and network with a lot more people, because at the end of the day, you're building your own craft.
So for me, I think that I have a entrepreneurial mindset, which is a positive and a negative, because I always have an idea in my mind. There's always something that I'm just like, ooh, it'll be great if we did this, or this, or this. So was there ever a time where you had to give up on a dream that you had? And if you did, how did that work for you? Ooh, deep question.
Well, going back to the previous question, I think there's a balance on staying quiet or talking. In our fields, I don't wake up every morning in the mood to talk to people, but I still have my own standards and my own rules on my brands. So I follow a simple rule that I do for myself, which is TTP, just talk to people. And when it's on, I do TTMP, talk to more people. You know, it just, because the more I talk and the more I say hello to people and the more I just interact, the more I build my brand, not just for myself, but for Uno's, for Lewis, for Jay Wings. So sometimes if you're in a crowd and you're just like, I don't want to say hello to people, or I just know this one person, just say hello to everybody. You know, hey, what's up, man? Even if they don't introduce themselves, introduce yourself. You leave a mark that people might notice or might not even notice, but next time they see you, they'll be like, oh shit, there's that guy who just said hello out of nowhere, and then they'll come in and you'll be approachable. So for me, I've actually started doing that practice this month, just talking to more and more and more people, just so I can build the brand or whatever brand you want to do in the future.
Is that why you said hey to me?
Yes. You know, like today you were on your computer, I'm like, I saw your email, but it's better to just go and talk to her when she's right in front of me. It would have been stupid to, hey, I'll see you there. You know, like I'm gonna go and say hello, how are you doing, and ask questions. Just go and talk, interact, practice your talk, build confidence. Even though I already know you already, I'm still doing better at just meeting everybody. But going to your question, did I ever have a dream? Yeah, it was a dumb one. I think it was back out of high school. I think I wanted to go to be a doctor or something. I'm like, I want to be in the medical field. I don't know what happened, but my environment didn't allow me to do that. I attempted to go to some class in Lawson State Community College in Bessemer, I think. I walked in for the first class, and it was paid for. Somebody paid it for me. I walked right out. I'm like, I have no clue what they're talking about. I'm not interested. Nothing clicked. It was just not my thing. So I think that dream of being a doctor flew out the window. Ever since then, in my career, I've had multiple false dreams or delusional dreams. At one time, I thought that I wanted to own a franchise. And then the more I'd finished the training, the more I worked with those people, I was just, for the franchise that I was going to go potentially be in and purchase, like, this sucks. Like, this is not me. This is not, I cannot build my personality or my energy around this brand. Why am I doing this? That door obviously closed. And then COVID happened, the shutdown happened, and I was able to take what I learned from them to build my own brand, to do it my own way, to potentially build my own franchise one day and just build a team. So don't mix. You have to find clarity first on figuring out what are your real dreams and goals and what are the delusional goals. Sometimes we just think we want a 5-bedroom house. For what? You know, like, it's only you and your mom. You know, you don't need 5 bedrooms.
You don't have to tell me that.
Okay,
It's fine.
so-
You know, it's not. I may or may not have wanted a 5-bedroom house, but it's
damn.
fine. You know, it's whatever.
But yeah, it's just figure out the real dreams and the real goals for your individual growth, and just remove the delusional ones.
Anyone else?
I would say, like, we're all people, so we all know that we've had dreams. It takes, sleeping to be a human. I think that we all have dreams and say, like, oh, I want to be this thing. One day whether or not it's like watching a television show as a child or a mentor growing up, I think that we all have dreams, but I do think that it has, at some point, like, pen has to meet paper, rubber has to meet the road and say, hey, like, is this a dream or is this just, like, my imagination? And then also, I would say as a serious conversation to say, are these dreams that are actually tangible? Can I actually make this happen? It would take a question of, can I lead this dream? As a child, I always said I wanted to be a nurse. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like blood that much. I don't like people that much, honestly. Like, I don't want to have to see a bunch of people every day and, like, stick a needle in them. And, you kind of fast forward and you progress as a person and you grow and you learn yourself. And I said, oh, you know what? Like, I want to go into nuclear medicine because I want to have a cure to cancer. But I'm not that great at physics. So I can't do that. So it's like, one of those things is like, what are dreams and what's realistic? and what can you actually carry out as a dream and what can you actually make a legacy, then that's where you kind of figure out where your entrepreneurial spirit is. So I would say I had a lot of dreams. I had a lot of goals. One of my goals was always to own a hospital. I'm a little bit of the way there, but at the same time, I don't like sticking people, so I can't, carry out that task as a doctor or a nurse. So I think that it would take, building a team and being able to lead a team in order to make that dream happen.
Retweet everything she said. This is an amazing question because I have my own nonprofit called the Dream Big Center. And it's basically focusing on people that want to follow their own dreams. Now, there is a such thing as having too many irons in the fire. I'm one of those people that I'll put 1,000,000 irons in the fire and still do to this day. But the reason I say retweet, it comes a point in time where if there's not pen on the paper and you're not taking action behind it, those irons in the fire sometimes are a distraction from your true purpose or your true dream that you want to follow. And some dreams there's a small window of opportunity from your dream taking off or it's dissipating. So again, retweet. Yeah, that's it.
Do you have anything? Okay, great. So with that, how do you all feel about passion over profit? Or using your 9-to-5 to fund your passion or your dream? Because I know a lot of people cannot just quit their job and become an entrepreneur and, live out their car for a week trying to do this startup. Most people are working a job that they either don't like or, they're just there for the check, and they're using that check to try to fund what they actually really want to do in life. So do you all feel like that's the way to go, or should you just kind of throw everything into your passion and just, go for it? Or, I see a whole lot of head shaking. And then I see Chuy squinting. Hey, I'm a starving entrepreneur, that's the term.
So I think it's great to have passion, for sure. But I think when we're talking about going to start a business, I have two thoughts. One, when you're going to start a business, I think you have to take a serious look at the risk and if you are actually able to make it through that risk. So fortunately, everybody here who's thinking about starting a business, y'all are pretty young. So the risk, if you fail, is, well, you'll just go get a job. Well, when I started Forge, we have a family, we have 3 kids who have to go to college. So the risk for us, is our house. I mean, it's a big risk. And so you have to look at, I always encourage people, before you just throw caution to the wind and, throw it all in. You really have to look at the risks and if you're in a position to be able to take on those risks. And then you can make your decision. But I also feel very strongly about just a 9-to-5 job. And there are a lot of people out there who are very unhappy in their jobs and have jobs where they never thought they'd see themselves. But I think that that all work is very important. And I think that's how we're created as people. I think God created us to work, and I think all work is important. And if you're in a job that you really don't, well, let me put it this way. If you go on to be an employer one day, or you're working for a company and around other people, I think one of the greatest things that you can bring to your team, to your company, if you're a manager, to the people who work with you, or if you're lowest on the totem pole from the top up, is really to give value and worth to people in the work that they're doing, whether it's, I don't know, building the tech infrastructure of a company or taking out the trash. If somebody doesn't do both of those jobs, the company is not going to make it. And so wherever you go, really bringing value and worth to whatever that job is. Which I say that, and I know that's very difficult because there are a lot of difficult jobs, and people aren't happy and they feel like they should be somewhere else. But if you can go into it with that mindset, it can really change how you do things. I feel a little strongly about that. If you can't tell.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, wrap.
We need all different perspectives.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure.
I feel like you had a lot of great points.
Let's pretend like I'm not looking at my phone right now to find the question. I think the question was passion over profit, as well as using your 9-to-5 to fund your passion project.
So I would say passion over profit. I would say that passion should lead your life. If you're passionate about something, it won't feel like work. I think that that's a very cliche statement, but if you love what you're doing, it's not going to be a job, regardless of if it's a 9-to-5 or if it's your own business. If it's something that you love doing, you're going to become obsessed with it. You're not going to be able to sleep. Every time you see a person, you're going to be like, oh, you know, this can fit into my passion, or, oh, yeah, I can bring you in. So I think that doesn't matter if it's a 9-to-5 or if it's your own business, passion over profit. I think that even if it's your 9-to-5 job, if you're passionate about it, will you at the end of the day love your paycheck? I also would say, like I mentioned financial theory earlier, there's a theory called expenses before taxes, interest, depreciation. Yeah. So there's a theory that's called expenses before taxes, interest, depreciation, and amortization. So I would say anytime if you're thinking about taking that risk to open your own business or to even become self-employed, do that calculation and say, here are my expenses before all of this. So if you have your profit, if you calculate out your expenses, but you also have to understand what expenses are. If it's profitable at the end of the day and you can make it work, then cool. But if that theory doesn't work, stick with what you got and keep your lights on.
Yeah.
I agree. I would say, yes, I will go with my 9-to-5 to fund my dreams because I've done it. I worked at Best Buy and it bought me my computers, monitors, things like that. But I chose a 9-to-5 that would benefit me as far as my company that I'm building. I didn't go to a 9-to-5, and I'm not saying you can't do this. I didn't go be a waiter to start a tech company. I was like, okay, I'm either going to Best Buy or somewhere that sells technology, or even if I went to Verizon somewhere, I'm going somewhere that'll help me in the long run build the company that I'm going to join. And I will say this, with being an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. Like right now, I enjoyed everyone. I'm leaving here to actually go. I have my own sports academy and I'm going to train basketball. And it's when you love what you do, I would love to come down and sit with anybody, talk to them about building their dreams, because at the end of the day, if you don't have anything to live for, what are you living for?
Sounds good. Nehemiah will have his business cards at the desk where you all came in at. So if you want to contact him, grab a business card and connect. He's also on one of our board members for the nonprofit. So if he doesn't respond, I can just kick him and he'll do it. And did anybody else have any additions to that question? Okay, you don't have to. And I think the last question that I have before I let everybody network or grab a drink or do whatever, what is the biggest sacrifice that you've had to make with your business? And how hard was it?
I think in my industry, it would have to be quality time with loved ones. But everybody, I'm in a different position now where I have my loved ones working with me now. So through a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hours, and a lot of training, and a lot of just headaches, and just me growing me, I finally am in a position where You know, I have parents as partners now, so I'm very grateful for that. I can't speak on their behalf, but I believe as an entrepreneur as a whole, when you step in that realm of business ownership, there's a very powerful word called discipline, which requires, am I going to hang out with the boys tonight? I can't. You know, I have to be up at 5 in the morning to have my gym time and go do my errands before I open up, and then open up shop at 10:30. So I think, depending on whatever you want to do in life, you have to make that very conscious decision that you have to sacrifice time, family, money if you're into investments or something. But most importantly is family, in my opinion, for my industry.
The first answer that came to my head was sleep. Not because it's just all consuming. So you wake up in the middle of the night and don't go back to sleep. But that, no, so before I'm trying to think, I want to say this accurately. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then went back into work part-time, and then started Forge. So my life now looks very different than really I thought it would when my kids were babies. Looks very different, and they've probably sacrificed more than me because, you know, I'm not always the one who picks them up from school or, you know, on the field trips or whatever. But it also has been such a blessing for our family too, for them to see what it takes, the hard work, like what hard work can produce. You know, 2020 was going to be a really great year for Forge. Yeah, but our business model depends on density and people being in a space, so didn't quite work out the way that we had thought 2020, along with everybody else. And so as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you can sacrifice is actually getting paid. So like we always put our people first. And it doesn't take COVID for that to happen as a business owner. So, you know, you give up like the secure paycheck, and you always have to put other people and other people's well-being ahead of yours.
Piggyback on what they said, I would say time, sleep, and security. I would say that this is uncharted territories because I graduated from UAB in 2014, and the word entrepreneur was not something that we were talking about 6 years ago. So I would say that the way that family dynamics worked at that time, or even the way that friendships worked and the way that security worked, it's just a different time, and you're embarking on new territory. So your sacrifices will be very different. And some of those sacrifices will be relationships. You never have to explain your time. So I would say that you are at some point probably going to lose relationships. I think that you will have family members that don't understand, you know, this path that you're on. I think that there will be times that you don't even understand this path that you're on because you haven't gotten sleep, or, you know, you're like, I thought that this was going to be my retirement plan. I thought that I was going to have this guaranteed check. And you're going to have to put others before yourself. There will be times where you don't bring in the income that you thought that you were going to bring in, because as part of an entrepreneur, you're the leader. This is your team, and you have to take care of them before yourself. So I think that those would be the three sacrifices that I can't limit it to one. Those would be the three sacrifices that I would say that I have personally given up is one, time, sleep, and relationships.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Is there anyone here that has a question that they would like to ask the panel? Hold on, let me turn around. Go ahead. I'll repeat it for you if you need me to. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, and for the recording purposes, she asked, how can you push for a demand of something that has not already existed yet, basically? For a new product or service that you are now interested in. Especially with COVID, everybody's trying to do something different, so I think that's a good question.
Well, yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to answer your question all the way, but I'll tell you, like at Forge, what we have done, we have had to look at different kinds of revenue streams. And for us, it's all been under our brand. Like we wanted it to be Forge. So for us, it was very important. Anything new that we added, we wanted it to stay within our mission. So we say we're in the business of growing businesses. So if we add a new initiative, a new product, it still needs to fall within that line for us, because we want everything we're doing to be for a purpose and to be to further our mission and our vision. So, so that's like, I don't know that that answered your question all the way, because it sounded like you maybe wanted to launch a totally new brand or a new product.
It's basically, we're trying to repurpose the products that we already have. So let's say we have this sofa that we can use in a different realm. How do we create a demand to put this sofa in this other realm?
Yes. Okay, that's awesome though. Do you have a thought?
Do you have something, Chuy?
I would say look at like R&D of companies around the country. So I would say like look at what your product is and what your business model is, and just do some research and development on it. There may be an idea that you thought was new and novel to this region, but if you do your research and development on it and you say, okay, well, in Texas they're doing this, or in California they're doing this, there may be some regional demand that just hasn't made it here yet.
I also think you can really lean on the audience that you already have and your expertise in your field and your industry. Like if you're, like you have an audience, you have product, you have a lot of knowledge, so you can really lean on that to figure out how to sell it differently.
I would also say, like, there's a phrase that says there's nothing new under the sun. So I think that we're all in new and creative spaces, but just look at your cash flow, look at your income statements and see where have people been spending money and what works best for my balance sheet. So if there are people that have been doing, sofas versus love seats in your industry, is there some new need for love seats versus sofas to make your balance sheet work out? So I would just say, like, study your cash flow and your income statements and see where your rises and your peaks are, and think of new and creative ways to make that work for you.
Yeah, and I was going to say, in addition to that, kind of like what Kim was saying, is working under a brand. I know you said that you all are a event planning company, but I would kind of repurpose that into a experience giving company. That way you can kind of cover all bases with what you're trying to do. That's all I have. Does anybody else have some questions they want to ask the panel? Go ahead. Or wait, he has the mic for you.
Can I? Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So as a business owner right now with COVID happening, I know it's kind of pushing some profit for some companies, but is there a way that you all do a good balance between working with your company and finding a way to keep it profitable as well as helping the community in some way? So is there a good balance or a good way to balance helping the community and helping your business?
That's a good question that I'm not going to help y'all on because I don't know the answer.
What's worked with me and what works with me right now is that I own and operate. Like I'm not the CEO, I'm not the president, I don't have any, I don't have managers. I do every single thing from the prepping to the serving to the cashier to the picking up alcohol to I stock everything. That automatically covers me on labor, so I don't have to pay somebody else for that, which gives me leverage on foods to do free caterings at UAB or to, especially during the shutdown, I was giving out tacos and quesadillas to the nurses, to the first responders, to the police department, because I was operating it myself. So, and I guess it goes back to passion. I get a high when I'm at work. I'm like, I love what I do until my next challenge. So I don't care about the profit or the loss, basically, because I know that the income will come later. And I feel like I've seen results. I mean, the community as a whole already supports our businesses, but it starts with you. I mean, you have to show up and do the work. If somebody calls out, oh, fucking well, just go and do it. Sorry for that word, but just go and do it. I had somebody quit in one of my concepts 2 weeks ago. No feelings hurt. I still showed up and I did the work. You have to have that mindset that it's yours, That's it.
Yeah, that's good. It goes back to treating people the way you want to be treated. Full circle. Full circle. Okay.
I would say partner with nonprofits, just as like part of a business model. If you have a for-profit business and you are working on your taxes, and I'm not talking about like tax evasion or tax fraud or anything like that, but if you're claiming your car or if you're claiming your home on your taxes, if your car is like a 2018 and it's now a year older, you can claim that depreciation on your taxes. You also can partner with nonprofits. So if you have an idea, I would say meet with an attorney and partner with a nonprofit in order to distribute your services so that at the end of the day on your income statements and on your taxes, it's actually efficient for you. I think that your passion is important. You want to give back, you want to do good, you want to be kind, and you want to work hard, and your business will be successful. But at the same time, if you have a new initiative like that, think about what's the most expedient for your business.
We good? Are there any more questions? Okay, one more.
I'm gonna kind of like sum up what the three of you said into a sort of two-part question, if that's all right. Some of you touched up on like the societal norms that success and failure have, and I guess my first question to that would be, how do you reconcile that? And then my second part would be, for you individually, what has been your biggest failure, and how does that come across through in entrepreneurship, whether you're starting out or you've found success already in that?
What was the first part of the question?
It was how do you reconcile for...
Oh, so
Like all three of you have very different backgrounds in your professional experience, but also in your personal experience. And so how do you reconcile with societal norms of what other people think about you and your success and or your failures, and how do you reconcile that? Would be my first part question.
That's a deep one.
And also, what's your biggest failure? So, biggest failure? Yeah.
Personally, I think my biggest failure was at a very young age, 21, 22. I believe that at that age I had become who I needed to become. I thought that I had reached my peak. I thought that I was Chuy. Then of course life happens. I thought I was going to be a great husband and a father. Divorce happens, and that was a big awakening in myself. Then that also led to me losing my first job at the first Mexican restaurant that I had. I was a manager. I was doing very, very well, getting paid a lot. But I think that environment, once that environment broke, and it broke me, and I didn't have the money, I didn't have the family, I didn't have the wife, I didn't have the friends, I didn't have the team that helped me grow, I decided to fail, but fail forward. And by failing forward, I was needing to figure out, if this wasn't who I was supposed to become, then who am I going to become, and where do I become it? And I think it's my reputation at that time led me to Birmingham. I mean, I got a phone call. I'm like, hey, we're needing servers. All right, I guess from being a managing partner at a Mexican restaurant, I'm back to being a server again, you know. But I did not let that title represent who I was going to become in the future, because I knew what to do all over again. And so my next position, I didn't fail at my next job, but I hit a roadblock. I mean, I knew that I was capable of more, but me failing again would be staying complacent and staying comfortable in a position that everybody wanted to be in, but I knew personally was never going to get me to that next level. So once again, failing forward, quit that job, start all over again, but in a different environment that helped my growth. So I think the way that I see it now, if I lose everything right now, if my business is shut down, or if I lose my team, or they drop me, I'm at peace. I am fine, because I know that I have the right skill sets. I know I have the right networking. I know that I TTP, I talk to people, and I talk to a lot of people that I can be like, hey man, I have to start all over again. Can I get a job? I am not scared of failure. If I lose it today, I'm completely happy. The shutdown, I think, for our industry was very, very like a spank in the ass. You know, like, wake up, you're in this game or you're not. So I think failure comes with business ownership. And once you accept that if it does happen and you're going to make the best out of it, I think success is going to come your way no matter what.
I think your generation has it harder than I still have it hard now, but y'all are so much younger, some of you. I can't really see how old y'all are because you're masked, but just with social media, it really plays into that idea of what society says success and failure is. And so I think you cannot compare yourself to others. Because most of the time when you're looking at what society says success is, and when people are projecting themselves as successful, it's probably a lot of times not true, or the path that you even want to lead. So I think that you have to be very diligent about protecting yourself and your mind from what the world is telling you success is. But for me, failure, starting a business will really teach you a lot, and you will have really, 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 really hard times that you never thought were possible. And you will wonder why you're not just getting a paycheck. But for me, people often ask me what is like the biggest lesson you've learned. And I can remember, I will never forget it, like having a major panic attack and breathing into a paper bag. And now people will ask my kids, like, what's it like for your mommy to have a business? And my youngest daughter will be like, well, mommy goes like this, and breathes into a paper bag. But I think it's really good for them to know, like, that's reality. It was really hard. But one of the biggest lessons that I learned, and when I'm in those, we call them paper bag moments now, is like, I know that whatever happens in my business, whatever happens in our family, and I say I know this, that does not mean that it's easy. So, but I do know that whatever happens truly is, this is what my husband told me in that moment. It was like the day before Christmas. Like, anything that happens is the Lord has given me like a beautifully wrapped present with a big red bow. That's exactly what I need. And if it's failure, but it's exactly what I need. And so that's what in those paper bag moments, like, have to keep reminding myself, like, this is for my good and for His glory. And I have to hold on to that because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know why things are failing. I don't know why it's really hard, but I do know, like Chuy said, like it is to make me, it's for my good. And so whether that looks like what the world says is failure or what the world says is success, is out of my control, but you just have to learn and continue to press forward through those hard times.
I would say, I guess we'll start at the beginning of the question. I guess my biggest failure is being asked to walk away from a team that you feel like that you built. So I would say, as part of an entrepreneurial journey, you will build things and you will think that this is your baby and this is why you're here, and you've worked hard and you've cried and you've had sweat and you've had those brown paper bag moments over this thing that you think is yours. And at the end of the day, it's not yours. Even if it's your business, you're here for a reason. And that reason may not be what you think it is that's in front of your face. And it will take growing moments and it will take teaching lessons to say, hey, if this is my journey and this is where I'm supposed to be, you still have to pick up the pieces and you still have to walk forward and say, one, you have to take care of your team, and two, you have to take care of yourself. So if it's for the best for your team, for you to walk away, you have to be okay with walking away and saying, it doesn't matter that you built this from the ground up. This isn't your purpose right now, and to be able to move forward and be okay with the feelings that you have in that moment. You'll have those feelings of anxiety and depression and say, hey, that's okay. That's part of, I don't want to say that that's part of entrepreneurship, but it's been part of my journey. And I would say, I think that even the people that are on the panel, they could say they've had those moments, and it's okay to feel those, and I'm going to coin your term of brown paper bag moments, because for me, it's like crying in the shower moments when you feel like that no one's looking for you, no one's looking, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed and anxious and like, why are you here? But at the end of the day, you have to pick up the pieces and say, I've chose to be a leader. I've chose to be something different, and to, just do it.
Well, I think that there was a lot of good information here today. I want to thank my panelists for coming and, helping me out with this event. I definitely want to thank the people who helped me put on the event. So Reggie, Darion, and Joshua Lay, who is not here right now.
I had one question, Bree, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, you asked that question then. Come on.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I had one question. This was a very good panel. I just wanted to get this question out.
Yeah.
I myself am a business owner too. I actually have multiple businesses, but I feel like you can never, get too much information. So I wanted to ask y'all for a little bit of transparency. Me, myself, I'm a sound engineer and audio tech. I've done live events for a majority of my life, and with us in the midst of a pandemic and lack of government assisting, I'm looking at everything, and I found myself repurposing what I do, where I switched from mainly I was doing live events, and of course, that's not feasible now, but I'm looking at myself now doing install work. Well, even that, I found myself, hey, I need more income, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. So I started a clothing and apparel company, new to it, I'm still breaking the ground with it. And my question for y'all is, I hear y'all talk about failures. What do y'all feel like is the number one reason a lot of businesses fail from the get-go? And going from that and kind of piggybacking off of what he was asking, what do you feel are key provisions that businesses should take, whether it be financial, whether it be, emotional for you to keep your mind, and your head in the right place? But what are provisions that you feel that people should take with, starting a new business?
Great questions.
I think one goes back to that education / mentor / surrounding your people who are really smart. So if you're launching a new business, there's so many people who've done it ahead of you. So do whatever you can to surround yourself with those people. Like, I'm in a group of other co-working space owners, and we meet once a month. I pay to be in the group, and we have communication all throughout the month. And without something like that, I would have lost. I wouldn't know. I know so much more because of that group. So I would say definitely surround yourself with learn as much as you can about your industry and lean on as many people as you can. And I don't remember the rest of your questions, but they can tackle that. But that's what I would say. Starting something new that you don't know a lot about is just really soak it up.
I would agree with Kim. I don't always have the best ideas, but I believe I do. But when I'm around my team, who carry way more experience than me, who own more businesses than me, and they sit down with me because I see them as my leaders and my mentors, I listen, and then I ask, why won't it work? And when they give me a direct answer because they've done it before or they failed before, I just kind of just lean that way. So I think from a past experience recently, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the goal and the dream, and then the fake goal and the delusional dream. I was dealing with somebody who believed so much in their brand or believed so much in their brand that thinks it's just gonna pop off, it's gonna work. Nah, bro, it doesn't work that way. Just because it worked in one spot doesn't mean it's gonna work in another spot. You gotta know your market. You gotta look at what the traffic is like. Is it in demand? Do people want it? Just because it works for you does not mean it doesn't work for everybody else. And so, I think most people these days carry a lot of ego, good and bad, but I think you have to have some type of pride and confidence in what you're doing, but you have to also humble yourself and listen to other people, not just shoot for the waters, I guess, and hope you hit a fish. It doesn't work that way.
Hello? Okay. So I'm very much like a quote and phrase and like check yourself person. And so I think what I call this is like getting stuck in the mud. And I think that is a big cause for failure. And what I mean by being stuck in the mud is like either you're stuck in what you think is right, or you're stuck on one side of the fence of something. So if you run your business that way, in the way that you think that you're always right, or that you have all the answers, or even like one thing is always right, you're gonna get stuck in the mud, and it may work for you that one time, but it's not gonna continue to work. And what I mean by that is, if it worked for you that one time, and then the next time you try to do this and you fail and you wonder why you're failing, you're probably stuck in the mud, which means either you're stuck in your own mind or you're stuck in a one way of thinking thing. And so that also goes back to something that we said at the very beginning, which I think is key in entrepreneurship, is relationships. Surround yourself with a team that you can say, hey guys, I didn't have the best day, or I'm trying to get this thing off the ground and it's not working. And just talk through it with people. But that also means that you have to have a team of people that you trust, that one, are not gonna steal your ideas, or two, are gonna give you completely unbiased opinions saying, hey bro, you just fucking up, this is your fault. Like, you have to have the team of people that's gonna happen, or you're not, you may have one success, but you won't have multiple successes because you can't get stuck in the mud. That means either getting stuck in your own ideas or getting stuck in one way of thinking. And you said you're trying to open, you had one business, but yet you're also trying to like shift. That means that if it worked for you that one time, but it doesn't work for you in your clothing industry, you might just be stuck in the mud. So either one, reevaluate your business plan, or reevaluate your team.
And you have to speak up. You can't just kind of keep it to yourself. You have to reach out, and you have to take that extra step to want to get that education. I think it's the biggest thing too. Well, I think that's let me turn around and make sure this time. Is that everybody's question? Lovely. So thank you, panelists. Thank you, volunteers who helped set up all these lovely chairs for y'all. Thank you for the What's Your Worth team for helping me put this event on. This is a series, so the next event that we have is going to be more focused on the legalities of starting a business, what you should file under, your taxes, all that type of stuff. So stay tuned. We have no date and no plans, so don't ask.
Those are the best kind.
There we go, entrepreneurship. But we do have business cards outside if anybody needs them. And I just want to get a picture with the panelists, but thank you all for coming. And, go enjoy the bar. Go tip the bartenders really good because they're nice. And, yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Congratulations.